You are watching the New American Media. Hello, 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 America. Happy Friday. Welcome to the New American Media. My name is Brian Engelman. I am your radio host today. A lot of stuff going on. What do you want to talk about? The NBA draft? Well, we have a show for that. It's called The Unhappy Hour. Brought to you from a Cleveland sports fan's perspective. And of course, we discuss the national issues as well. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Eric Holder and Fast and Furious? Eric Holder, Fast and Furious. There's a lot of things we can do. How about this? How about we bring Blake Wally into the program? We can start there. Obamacare decision.
Brian.
Blake Wally, it's Brian. Howdy, good morning. You're live on the air. How is life, good sir?
Excellent. How are you?
You know, living the dream, I suppose. I'm getting a few things together on my side. We are starting the show, and we're just diving right into it. I know you and I are most likely not going to talk too much sports, but I'm opening it up if they want to talk about some sports, or if they want to talk about Obamacare, Eric Holder, Fast and Furious, Chief Justice John
let's just
Roberts.
go to the sports, I think. Get to the real important things here. And I noticed there's another big story too. This is big news. Speaking of living the dream, I guess Katie Holmes is on the market again.
Oh, that is true. You know, I will cop to the fact that I did watch Dawson's Creek after the fact when it was in syndication on TNT, working bartender hours during the late 90s, 2000s, I suppose.
So that would make sense.
Yeah, you know, it was on in the background, and yeah, Katie Holmes. Wow. I mean, some people said that was a sham of a marriage. I mean, who am I to judge?
I don't know what she was thinking. You know, I had such big plans for me and Katie. You know, I wanted to have, like, ideally, I was hoping to have a fling with Heather Graham for a few months, and then maybe I'd settle down with Katie. And then all of a sudden she got married and just threw all my plans in flux. And I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe we can right this wrong. But now she's, you know, she's got the Tom Cruise all over her and the kids. So, you know, parameters have changed. But, you know, I'm still interested if she is, you know.
Well, what about the Heather Graham thing? You know, I mean, at least Heather Graham worked out, right?
No, unfortunately. So maybe I'll have to work on that too.
Well, that's fair enough. Blake, let's do this. I'm going to grab something here, and I want to kind of give you the microphone, kind of introduce yourself to everybody, explain just, you know, kind of a little bit of your backstory, who you are, where you came from, how we connected, what you do on your radio show. Just give it your all for a couple minutes here. I'm gonna put a couple things together, but introduce yourself to our audience because you've been on the program and we've been co-hosting on yours. But you know, maybe everybody doesn't know how all of this came to be, so let her rip.
Right. So I am Blake Wally, the eccentric, and I'm just a dude. I guess I'm just another guy out there who's, you know, is somewhat of an activist or somewhat of somebody who, you know, does his own research and sees the issues of the world. And it got to a certain point where I decided to take action, become an activist, if you will. And I started a blog and a very, very interesting, controversial blog called the Eccentric Perspective. That's eccentricperspective.com. And then I started writing, and I started submitting my work to various outlets, and one of them, which was the Activist Post. And they were cool, and they liked my work, and they published it. And I got published on a lot of sites. I've been on Prison Planet and David Icke and Rents and Before It's News and What Really Happened and Max Kaiser. So it's been pretty exciting. And then about 6-7 months ago, I decided to jump onto the radio so I could cover more news. Writing can be it's been a lot of fun and stuff, but it can be kind of stressful and, you know, jumping in front of a blank piece of paper. So I decided to, you know, do the radio thing. And then I ended up going to Reno. I guess that would be the May 6th weekend when Ron Paul was in, and it was the delegate weekend. And I actually brought my camera and I caught a Mitt Romney supporter dressed up as a Ron Paul supporter. Actually, I don't know if they were a Mitt Romney supporter. They just found some useful idiot to run around and give out fake ballots to try to, it's the dirty tricks that they were putting out to try to steal the election from Ron Paul. It didn't work. I did catch it on camera, and it was published on InfoWars and the Activist Post and Lions of Liberty, and it's out there in the YouTube video, or out there in the YouTube universe, if you will. And that's how Brian ended up seeing that, and got in touch with me. And yeah, we've been kind of doing these little co-hosting things ever since.
Well, Blake, let me kind of toss out a couple of ideas here.
Sure.
We have a lot of stuff going on, and we can take this any number of directions. I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of give a nice overview. We'll kind of hit reset, and we'll kind of split this up into different topics. So what we have is, this is what's on my radar. Nancy Pelosi. Did you see Nancy Pelosi flub Brian Terry's name trying to discuss?
I saw the headline for the article. I didn't actually. It was just sort of like, there's another surprise on there. Yes, she's always entertaining in an odd way. I don't know how to describe it, but yes, I did see that. But
well,
I didn't actually read it.
It's cartoonish. It's like
right.
I mean, it's literally like Skeletor and He-Man. I mean, it is something cartoonish. She's a caricature of that type of person.
Right.
It's just stunning to me. I mean, you have this family of slain Border Patrol agent Brian Terry. He's dead. Why? Because 2,000 some guns. We're still getting the number. Eric Holder is not releasing the information, so we're just guessing, kind of. But at least 2,000 guns, high-powered guns. Really powerful guns were given to drug cartels in northern Mexico, and the game plan was to track them, so they say, but there were no tracking devices on them and no plan to track them, except that what you do have is Eric Holder on a YouTube clip from, I believe, 1995. You know what? I think I'll actually pull that up real quick. But, he's talking about brainwashing people into thinking guns are bad and, against the Second Amendment. And so, I mean, it's really goofy. And so Nancy Pelosi, during the contempt vote against sitting Attorney General Eric Holder yesterday, she walked out with certain members of certain delegations of Congress holding hands for a photo op opposing the fact that we all want to know why we're arming our enemies, and they're trying to make it political when it's not, and it's kind of ridiculous. What do you think?
I agree. I wasn't even gonna. I wanted to talk about that as well. I mean, and I know I did see that video clip of her, walking down the steps and with the apparently they said what was it? Was it the it was a political. It was the it was the Black Caucus, or most of them, I guess. They walked out, almost the entire Black Caucus. I picked this up off. There's a I forget the guy's name already. Well, it was Herman Cain clip that was on Fox News with Neil Cavuto. That was it, and they showed that, and it showed that there was a huge walkout, and it was all in regards, from their perspective, it was a witch hunt, and it was a racial issue, political, everything. And it was very disturbing that they would defend and I'd love to hear their argument. I want to hear why they think that Holder is innocent or whatever. This is not, and Herman Cain said, this is not about race. This is about protecting the integrity of the government, and it's protecting justice. It's saying no to corruption. This is inexcusable, and they should be after this is all, assuming Eric Holder is guilty, that we need to start going at and start holding these politicians accountable. All these people who walked out, they're basically protecting somebody who's guilty. And all Holder has to do, if he's innocent, is to release these documents. So they're openly defending a criminal and calling it a racial or political issue, and that's unacceptable.
Well, you know what's good about it, Blake? They're literally walking out on their duties and obligations. Isn't that classy? Isn't that great?
A dangerous criminal, yes, is under investigation, and they're walking out to show their support for that. I mean, that's a kind of, if we're twisting that around a little bit, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's basically what they're doing.
they're
And
shirking their responsibility. There's no way around it. Let me play this clip. This is Eric Holder discussing. This is from 1995. I'll just let his words speak, and then we can address them there.
I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of.
By the way, before we do, can you hear this, Blake?
yes, yes, I can.
Depending on, we've done different versions of this show. We used to have a good friend of mine, and he passed away in December. He was the co-host and the producer engineer of this. So we've had different versions of how this show has been run here on the New American Media. So sometimes I forget if you can still hear this or if it was the previous way it was wired.
This is the first time on Skype, so.
Oh, that's true as well. So we're getting different. Yeah, we're getting different stuff there, and that's a good point. If you're out there listening, you can contact us many different ways. Send us a direct message on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Mention us because we get an email instant time to kind of. If you want to talk to us, send us your phone number, and we'll call you from the studio, and we'll bring you into the program. We also have the Skype line, which we are currently occupying, so we do have a call-in line open. But anyway, I just wanted to get to this. This is Eric Holder, 1995, and I want everyone out there to understand the context of when you hear Fast and Furious, what is this about? Because I've heard people on CNN, on MSNBC saying, "Oh, that's just ridiculous. That is such a conspiracy theory to think that any of this would have to do with subverting the Second Amendment." There's oh my gosh, these crazy teabagging left or right-wing lunatics. Let me play you this clip, Eric Holder in his own words, because we need to get to the heart of the man to understand what's inside his heart and his brain. And this was a while ago, coming up on 20 years ago. From 1995, 05, 15, so yeah, like 17 years. In his own words, Eric Holder, and we'll discuss.
I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Hang on. What? Did we just hear that? Let's make sure we heard that properly.
Every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
I swear, I don't mean to do this a third time, but we need to make sure we understand his vernacular because as we quote it, we're all familiar with Barack Obama saying, we're just a few short days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. And in retrospect, you go, I want to fix a few things, but I don't want a socialist system. I don't want a European-style form of government. I'd like the constitutionally limited republic that we have. If we can stick to that and maybe get back to it for the first time in a couple hundred years, that would be great. But fundamental transformation. So one last time.
This every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Okay, so he wants to brainwash people into every day to thinking about the fact that guns, just think about them in a vastly different way. Brainwash the people, every single day, every single level, every single age group. Let's at least once a day brainwash the people into thinking about guns, not in a good way, like our founding fathers said you have the right to keep and bear arms, the right of a militia to, so where do we go from here discussing this to everybody else that's saying, oh, Eric Holder could not have meant to do a Fast and Furious that could drastically increase the border violence, which could then lead to more restrictions against Americans to obtain firearms, to sell firearms, to purchase them, to carry them, licensing fees, and put tons more restrictions on people regarding the Second Amendment. Blake, take it from here.
Well, yeah, and one of those things that I was watching the clip, and I'm trying to find this because I did send it to you. It was on Twitter. It was from Rachel Maddow, speaking of MSNBC, who's trying to, I guess, making some sort of argument that it's like a conspiracy theory to think that it's against the Second Amendment, this whole Fast and Furious thing. But then again, like, what is it about then? And then you have it on record that that Eric Holder is saying, that he wants to bring. There's obviously there is something to that theory. There's something going on with the Second Amendment. And then if you want to just even go back to the wide receiver operation, and I'm not saying that's good or bad or anything, but they were those guns that they used in those in that operation, they were all tracked with RFID chips. But the ones that were used in operation, you would think that if you ran another program, it would be more sophisticated. Well, it wasn't. These the tracking devices they used were completely useless. It was almost as if they meant to let them go and then just to see what happened. And they were gonna go after some of the shops, I guess. It didn't show how easy it was to obtain guns. So what exactly were they trying to do, and what are they hiding? Why won't they release this information? And yes, that's a really that's a good clip you had there, Brian, because it really does show you. And this is back in the day, so I have a hard time believing that Eric Holder changed his opinion from 20 years ago.
And now this is from June 25th, 2012. This was just 4 days ago. Rachel Maddow. She's talking about Republicans pressing a quote-unquote secret gun ban plot theory. And so Rachel Maddow's discussing a right-wing effort to push the Fast and Furious case into the mainstream spotlight. And then you have Bill Maher, Nick Gillespie talking about Fast and Furious. And Bill Maher saying, I was one of those people until this week who didn't know about Fast and Furious. Now, I'm a lifetime NRA member.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, come on, man. What, aren't you? Aren't you?
Honestly, I'm kind of one of those people who was, I'm a former Democrat for a long time, and I was kind of, if I would have heard that Eric Holder speech back at the time that it was done, would you say 95?
95, yes.
I probably would have agreed with him. I'm not even joking. So, I mean, I was, maybe just me growing up in suburban Minnesota. That was just like I didn't know people that had guns or something.
Didn't you go hunting for elk in order to put meat on the table?
I guess I was more of the fishing family. I was more of the spoiled suburbanite. We weren't really into the guns. I didn't know people that had guns. Every once in a while I have a friend or something that had a dad who was a hunter and they had hunting weapons and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I moved to Nevada when it was like, oh, okay, like everybody has guns out here. It's a totally different scenario. And then, of course, I have learned also, and then I have also even, gotten into guns just within the last few years, just because now I really see how bad things have gotten, and I don't like guns. I'm not a gun person. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my gun video games and violent video games from back in the day and stuff. And even now, I can sit here and probably play Call of Duty for 6 hours and shoot people and have no problem with it. I think it's fun. But to actually, in real life, I'm not a gun person, but I do appreciate the Second Amendment. It's there for a reason. And I encourage everybody should, I don't know where I want to jump with that, but
let me ask you this:
Sure.
if next time I'm in Vegas or next time you're out in L.A., will you go to the shooting range with me?
Sure.
Excellent. Well, this is Rachel Maddow. This is from June 20th, and these are longer clips, so I don't want to play you too much of them here. But, she's talking about a goofy gun conspiracy that's surfacing in Congress, describing the paranoid gun rights fantasy that is the basis behind the Republican political interest in Fast and Furious. So this is the type of stuff that you're hearing from the left, just saying, come on, really? Come on. What are you, crazy? You guys are just... You're off your rocker, Republicans. That's totally out of bounds here. And we're playing the words from Eric Holder talking about brainwashing people about guns. It's not a far leap of logic to figure out, well, wait a minute, this guy that wants to brainwash people is giving 2,000 untraceable guns to the people who are shooting at Border Patrol agents on our property while telling us, let's let 800,000 people that snuck in just stay here. And we don't need a wall down there. And by the way, we need to keep drugs illegal because, if you could buy it at 7-Eleven, then these people wouldn't be killing and dying for the money involved with it. It's like every aspect of this conversation doesn't make any logical sense. And that these left-wing Democrats are saying, it's ridiculous. Nancy Pelosi's walking out, staging a protest, and there's a Border Patrol agent. She can't even get his name right. I'm looking for the video, haven't been able to find it, but I watched it today, and she flubs his name. Brian Thomas Taylor. It's quick. It's a quick flub, and then she gets to the Border Patrol agent, Brian Terry. That's a family who's just trying to figure out what in the hell happened. Why are you arming the people that are shooting at my kid, shooting at my cousin, shooting at my son? Why did you give them the weapons? And then Eric Holder's saying we need to brainwash people from 1995, and there's enough suspicion around President Obama to understand that his values, his core values, are different. They're very different from a majority of this country, as witnessed by Obamacare, which came in. So what did you make of the Bill Maher, Rachel Maddow comments and how a majority of the left-wing media is covering this story?
I thought it was absolutely pathetic. I think Bill Maher is deliberate. I think he's actually lying about his knowledge. And Rachel Maddow, well, she makes a compelling argument about how it's a conspiracy, like, oh, how could it possibly be a conspiracy against the Second Amendment? She never actually says, then what is it for? Then why are they doing this operation to begin with? So it's one thing. And it's not even just from her appearance on the Bill Maher show. It's another one that I had that I saw her talking about on her own show when she made that argument. But is it Nick Gillespie, I believe, who was also on the, yes, it was Nick Gillespie, who really made both Maher and Maddow really look foolish on the show. And I tweeted out that article to you. I'm going to have to send you another one because there's a new one from the Daily Caller. The other article I sent was pulled, I guess. They pulled the video. But this is definitely a video people should see to show. I mean, it shows like Rachel Maddow is on an agenda, and MSNBC is pretty blatant. Is really extremely pro-Obama, no matter what. No matter how silly they looks. I mean, when you look at these people, Matt Maddow or Lawrence O'Donnell, some of these guys. But then it's sad to see Bill Maher. And I used to have a lot of respect for Bill Maher. I thought he ran a pretty good show. He was a little more outside the box. He'd tell it more like it is. But and I used to think he's kind of more like a libertarian-leaning guy. But now I'm seeing him. He gives $1 million to the Obama campaign, and now he's on the bottom. And during on this transcript from this show, he's acting like he doesn't really know much about Fast and Furious. Like, this is a guy who's a full-time news guy who should know a little bit more about this Fast and Furious debacle. And he's at the bottom of this transcript where he's saying, the drug war is bad and the Republicans are mental patients. I don't know if Eric Holder is bad. Like, how do you not know about Eric Holder? This is it almost seems like there's something going on. Like, I don't believe Bill Maher doesn't know that much about the situation. I think he's got his own little agenda, or I don't know. Why would he play dumb like this?
That's a good question. I mean, it's possible. I mean, there are people that don't spend a heck of a lot of time on certain issues, or they just surround themselves with people, maybe all of his staff writers. None of them are paying attention to it because they, like Nancy Pelosi, say, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Nothing happened. I'm sure it's just that crazy Mitt Romney trying to get the White House. Everything they do is against this president because everything our president does is perfect and pristine and shouldn't be questioned. There were people we talked with John B. Wells on our program last week. He's the Saturday night host of Coast to Coast AM. And a lot of people are finding him and liking him as a host on that show. And if you guys don't listen to Coast, you need to. But we were talking with John B. Wells about this, and we just kind of went back and forth about, these people that are standing up regarding Fast and Furious who are insulted, who are ashamed, who are aghast that they would dare go this unprecedented route to actually determine what happened with supplying these people with weapons. Why in the world would you want to know that? I am so just disappointed, and on. There are several people standing up making ridiculous claims, just blindly, and that's the point. I think there are people that are still blindly marching lockstep with the Democrats, with President Obama, with the Obama administration, with Republicans, with conservatives, with progressives. And I think you just need to be honest and take an issue-by-issue approach. You and I meet eye to eye on several issues. You are at a different place regarding the Second Amendment and gun rights than I am. You once held a different belief. I never did. And we can discuss this legitimately, honestly, and it mentioned some differences. But these people are just blind, deaf, or just reading their bullet points, their marching orders, their talking points memo of the day, and they're not really doing any legitimate thinking on the issue. And I find it intellectually dishonest, frustrating, and disappointing as an American citizen that the top cop in the land, through Department of Homeland Security, is going to say constitutionalists, Ron Paul supporters, returning military veterans, these are all dangerous people. By the way, if they ever buy products in cash, even their coffee, they could be suspicious. They could be enemies of the state. And it's like, I'm an American citizen. Who the hell are you? It's completely turned upside down here. What do you think about all of that?
Well, I mean, I like to bash Republicans as much as anybody, but I mean, I just want to be. I don't like to be on the side of Eric Cantor and Darrell Issa or John Boehner or any of these people. But I mean, this is about corruption at the end of the day. This is what's got to be. This is what the main thing that I would like to see gotten rid of. And I'm so sick of the two major parties just playing these stupid games. And there needs to be, and like I said, after this Fast and Furious thing comes out, once the truth comes out, once this guy gets locked up or whatever, and all the facts come out, then, and assuming that he's wrong, and I'm assuming that he is guilty, we need to start going at holding these people accountable who are all blindly defending him and making it a political or a racial issue.
Yeah, it's very disappointing because, I look at the leader of the country, and I maybe it's just the nature of politics, but I've never really been very proud of Barack Obama as our president, as George Bush as my president, as with Bill Clinton as my president, with Bush Sr. as my president, with I'm really too
Reagan.
Young.
Yeah.
I'm too young to understand Reagan.
Carter.
Yeah. I hear that Reagan is held up as this idea. I mean, he's the first president I remember. I was born in '79, but Reagan
he gets too much credit. He was a good enough man, but he's more of an icon. I think he's more of a big icon than he is like a great president or whatever. I think he gets too much credit for that.
Well,
even though
he has some great quotes, talking about, I don't believe that government is the solution to every problem. I believe that government is the problem. He had a good way of summing up and crystallizing some arguments: big government versus small government, the nanny state where everything is dictated how you should live versus the government staying the hell out of your way and letting you make your own choices. Fall on your face if you will, but you get to make your own choices. So, in retrospect, yeah, and so Reagan is held up as this ideal, and then Jimmy Carter is held up as this, Barack Obama before Barack Obama is the way it's looking in some quarters here, and I definitely lean right, but I'm fiscally conservative. That's where I lean right. I'm socially libertarian for the most part because I just don't have time to get into everybody's personal life about which God they're choosing to worship, if they choose to at all. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're a man or a woman or some sort of transgender in between. That's your
right.
That's your deal. I really don't have much time to waste on that. And as far as a lot of these issues, I tend to lean very socially libertarian. Personally, I have some libertarian, not liberal, libertarian and conservative views personally regarding social issues, but that's my thing. You should, for the most part, be able to make your decision up there. And I'm for capitalism, not crony capitalism. It's when government combines with private business and corporations, you have fascism. So we don't have capitalism, we have fascism. We have this corporatocracy thing that just isn't working. I'd really like to try capitalism for a little bit where, if you bust your ass, Blake, and you work a little bit, you work 10 more hours than the next person, then you make 10 hours extra pay and you get to do things with that. It provides you with opportunities. And if someone let's just pick the lazy person. If they don't want to work as hard, then that's their choice. That's fine. We're libertarian. You don't need to work hard. You might have extra roommates. You might not own a vehicle. You might not have, 2 pairs of jeans in your closet. But that's fine because your decision is affecting you. What we're having
I'd
now
like to
is
see the
something
system be fair.
yeah. Well, now it's turning into we need to take care of everyone, and it's like I barely have enough money to take care of me. Let me take care of me. I'm looking around and I'm seeing lots of people that aren't taking care of themselves, and I don't have money for that. I'm not heartless and cruel. I'm just saying, come on, man, step up your game. I'm trying really hard here. So it's a difference philosophically.
Yeah, we've got a broken system that needs to be reinvented, changed. Yes, we've got to get out of this crony system. But socialism, any of those kind of communitarianism type of things, or however you want to say it, they're not going to work. They don't appeal to me at all. No crony capitalism, but the system is going to have to be changed at the same time. It's not going to work, the system we have now. But let's not swing the pendulum towards, socialism or communism or anything like that. That'll be even worse.
Yeah, I would say so, because then you lose all your and then that's the whole crux. You will lose your choice. If you want to live free, now your options are being limited, and nobody has the right to infringe upon my right to life and liberty. Liberty is self-governance and the pursuit of happiness. Let me go after the things I feel like going after. Stay out of my way. And if people want to limit my choice, they start becoming an enemy. It literally becomes, you're violating my rights as an American. I have the right to live my life, and just leave me alone. And that's kind of the difference. A lot of people are talking about Obamacare, and the point there is you're going to eventually limit, restrict, and erase all other options, and you're going to have one single-payer healthcare system, and I don't want that. I want the innovation that comes from people like me. Say if I wanted to start a medical company and do something really awesome, then I start a company, I do that, and that innovation, that wide scattershot variety of opinions and ideas is going to spur innovation, which will eventually lead to better products. That's the American way, not where you just run all the insurance companies out of business. You dump everybody into a single-payer system, create a huge unfunded corporate bureaucracy that's now the largest tax increase in the history of America. You don't have the right to limit my choice, So that's where it lands for me. And I'll tell you what, we can get into some more Obamacare stuff. We did discuss Pelosi, but there's a few things on my radar. What I'm going to do, Blake, is I'm going to kind of highlight these issues. We're going to take a quick station identification break here on the New American Media Radio Network, and we'll figure out where we want to pick it up after this. But we're also talking about, remember Joe Wilson yelling, "You lie," in Congress? You lie. Saying that.
I've probably seen that. It's been a while. I'll have to look for that over the break. I'll look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, it was regarding whether illegal aliens are going to get free health care now, and you kind of blend the Supreme Court ruling with the fact that he's instructed immigrations and customs to stop deporting certain groups of people. And it's like, okay, so you're giving them a backdoor amnesty, and now you're expanding health insurance to everybody that everybody else has to pay for. Let's re-examine the Joe Wilson yelling, "You lie." Isn't that indeed what's happened? We can also talk about the Stockton, California going bankrupt. It's an interesting story, and it leads the question, what happens in your local community if the people in charge won't make the cuts to get through the tough times? And why didn't they save up for a rainy day in the first place? That's something we can get into. Also, president versus aliens. There's something on National Geographic asking, which presidential candidate would you trust during an alien invasion? We can dovetail that with Paul Krugman's comments about the way to pull out of a global economic recession is a faked alien invasion. That's interesting. And there's a few other topics. The last one being, my question is, where is my guarantee from Congress and the president that they will personally give up their salary and pensions if Obamacare exceeds the budget that they're putting on paper saying this is what it's going to be? Where's that personal guarantee? Because if there were any accountability with these politicians saying, hey, if this goes over budget, take it out of my pension, take it out of my salary, take it out of my benefits until I can fix it. There's none of that. It's lie after lie. It's not a tax unless it's a tax, and then it's a tax, and then you can tax. What? You're still forcing people to buy a product. So it's a crazy week of news. We'll pick it up after this. We're talking with Blake Wally. Blake is a radio host from freedomizerradio.com. I have had the pleasure of joining him on some Mondays, and we did our show yesterday. We co-hosted with you over there at freedomizerradio.com. Our show is from noon till 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, and it is called Eccentric Perspective. You can find Blake on Twitter at Eccentric, ECCENTRIC 99. And you can find us at American_media_. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please click that subscribe button. We would appreciate that. So we're going to hit the reset button. We'll come right back in just a second on the NewAmericanMedia.com's Agree to Disagree program.
You are listening to the Agree to Disagree program on the NewAmericanMedia.com.